everyone. Welcome to today's IRMAC web session. I'm Eden. I am the VP Communications for IRMAC, and I'm here today to introduce Deborah Henderson, who you may be familiar with from her presence with IRMAC. And Deborah is going to talk to us today about how and why to get certified as a data management professional. So Deborah's going to tell us a bit about the CDMP certification process and all these things involved in going through that. Deborah is an independent consultant at DAHenderson Consulting in Toronto, and she specializes in data governance. She has over 25 years experience in data management, and she consults in data governance in capital markets, energy, NGO, government, and automotive sectors. She's an internationally recognized educator on data governance and stewardship, and she's very passionate about how data supports business excellence. She is also the senior editor and program director for the DAMA-DMBOK since 2005, and she's received the DAMA International Community Award in 2010, as well as many other awards. She's also a CDMP Fellow, which you'll learn all about, I think, as part of this presentation. So Deborah, why don't you take us away and tell us about how and why we should get certified as data management professionals.
Hi, thank you, Aidan. That was a lovely introduction. Thank you so much. What I'm going to be talking to today is, a build-up story of the background to the Certified Data Management Professional Program and certification, the materials that support it, and ultimately, the confidence that you should have as a global certification program and cert, and why you should get certified. So let's get underway. Again, thank you, Eden, for all the descriptions about me, and we'll get into the topics now. So, what does it mean to be a professional? You should have a community of like-minded people who have depth in the subject area that you profess. You should have some opportunities to learn more and grow within that profession and the learnings. And then you should have an opportunity for certification. And with that in mind, yes, we do call ourselves data professionals, and it's worth looking into how to market yourself better. What we offer at DAMA International is that community. And IRMAC in Toronto, the Information Resource Management Association, is a chapter of DAMA International, and the chapters we'll talk about that structure in a bit. For the learn part of being a professional, we have the DAMA-DMBOK, or DMBOK standing for the Guide to the Data Management Body of Knowledge. And we'll walk ourselves through that part. And then ultimately to certify. It is that certification program that's been ongoing since 1992. And so we move on. So what is a professional? And what is a profession? Well, we do have this professional representation with DAMA International and also Advocacy worldwide. There are tenets and best practices which are in the guide to the data management body of knowledge, and there's all kinds of best practices and activities and knowledge areas embedded in that. Briefly, is what we believe to be true at an overview level in our profession, the certification program, and then opportunities for continuing education and networking. We have both the local chapter activities and meetings, such as this one, and we do this every month. So look out for our next ones next month. And then the annual DAMA International conferences, which are around the world, centered, a European one, usually in London, England, and a regular one that's in Australia at the moment. There are annual conferences being developed in China currently. So, diving a little further into DAMA International. Well, hold on. You know, what is necessary from a business point of view that you're supporting with all these best data practices? What's important now is digital transformation, AI, machine learning, and business is always scrambling for the next IT optimization. Their priorities are findability, all of these abilities, serviceability, transparency, consolidation, reuse, federation of existing processes and data, consistency across organization. And good data and information is vital for all of these priorities. And if you, it eases the movement into the digital space, the AI, the ML space, and perhaps in your organizations, data is the next focus as well. So DAMA International is the largest sector-neutral data management organization in the world. The first chapters were established in 1980, and it has approximately 6,000 direct members, but that's only direct members who join DAMA International directly and not their chapters locally. Okay?
Oh, I think there might be a small issue going on your side. Are you currently presenting the presentation? Because I don't think you're sharing the full presentation. I think you might just be sharing the first slide. That's what I can see.
No, it says here that Google.com is sharing, and I'm on slide number 5.
Okay. Could you click try and click present again one more time, just in case?
Sure.
And thanks for the patience at home, folks. This is our first time. We tried to switch over to Google Meet this time, so we're giving it a shot.
Mm-hmm. Do you see that I've not shared?
You are not currently sharing something.
Not, okay. So,
can you?
No, I can't see where I reshare.
Okay, so in the bottom right, you present now. Pick something like your entire screen.
No, that's not what I've got here.
Really?
Okay, wait, I do have it. And what do you see now?
Perfect, it's working now.
Oh, great. Thanks so much.
No problem. Thank you. Sorry for the delay, everyone, and keep going, Deborah. It's very interesting.
Okay. So DAMA International is also a not-for-profit, and it's headquartered out of Florida, but it is, of course, established around the world. There are approximately 60 chapters, affiliated chapters around the world. And for the Canadian viewpoint, we have an emerging chapter just established in Montreal, emerging in Ottawa. Our chapter has been around since the 1970s, so we actually predate DAMA International. We have chapters established in Calgary, Edmonton, and also Vancouver. So we're in 31 countries around the world. And so this is your background to why do this particular certification. There's the link at the top, DAMA.org. It's a .org because it is vendor neutral and a not-for-profit. And the global, it it specializes only in data management, and of course it holds conferences locally, regionally, and at one North American international conference, which actually can bring up to 30 different countries represented and showing up when we do show up physically. It networks, DAMA International networks with other professional groups and product vendors representing the data management profession. DAMA is vendor neutral, which means all vendors can come and show us what their products are, and we endorse no particular vendors. So it's a win-win in that respect, that vendors can come in, and we encourage them, want them to come in, and some are sponsors to our organizations. Tools that underlie everything from data quality to artificial intelligence, just to showcase their products to an audience, us who have you know, the wherewithal and wanting to understand what the product spaces are and potentially lead to introductions and sales for them. So it's a win-win as we sponsor these vendors to show us, and we learn what's going on. The DAMA International publishes two main references. The DAMA Dictionary of Data Management and the DMBOK itself. So the mission and purpose, professional, not-for-profit, dedicated to advancing the concepts and practices in data and information management. Its purpose is to promote understanding, development, and practice of managing data and information as key enterprise assets. And data as an enterprise asset has definitely had more power behind it in the last 5 to 10 years as analytics space has taken off. It's fairly easy to sit at your keyboard and to input data into a transaction system and to have all that go on. But the trick comes when you want to reuse that data for other purposes, i.e. analytics or interfacing with various vendors. Because, you know, once it's in your databases, in your data sets, your data stores, you know, there's actually a break between having understood it the first time and then having to pick it up from somewhere in some database and make use of it again. All kinds of questions come into play, where the validity, the timing, the accuracy, the precision, and whether in fact you're getting the data from the most official source. So that's why, you know, I personally believe that data management practices have come back in the last 10, 20 years as we get more and more sophisticated in trying to do analysis. So, DAMA-I activities, you've got the profession in the center, the professional association, which tries to help out and advocate and is a global presence and voice. We have that body of knowledge, the DMBOK at the top. We have the certification on the left-hand side that they offer, the community of practice, which is at the local levels and annual conferences. And then we have a fourth area, which is our academic focus. How do we help academia to deliver data management training, learning to their students so that they are job ready in the data management world? Back in the 1960s, IT departments were called data management departments because it was the movement from going from paper into and index cards into a faster, more repeatable function using computers. Then I believe the conversation went away from that to hardware and software, because vendors can sell you hardware and software, but they can't sell you your own data. So the data fell into the background as something that's just delivered as a result of putting software, hardware, processes onto in a system. It was just a product that came out the other end. And so the focus was really on database management in the 1960s and 70s, and it kind of stayed there because of the conversation change. And because the thought was, if you had the correct processes in data, processes in your software application, then the data would be correct and fine, and that's all you needed, right? So many educational institutions around the world are still stuck with just the scope of training or courses offered in data are around just databases. So DAMA has been lifting that conversation up, and we'll look at later in my presentation the various aspects of data management independent of tooling, the processes, the policies, the activities that need to be done to manage data properly. All right, vendor independent, technology independent, and methodology independent. So when I say this, it's key to know that the body of knowledge is things you need to know. It's not a method of how to do them. Okay, so this is more of the body of knowledge is more of a checklist for that, and things we know we need to do. How to do those things has to be found in all the bibliographies across the DAMA-DMBOK that support this overview of of what we know. All right. Okay, so recognized chapters in the United States. You can see that there's pretty well represented across the United States, with some heavy centers in Texas and, of course, the Northeast, as you might expect. And here's a quick overview of DAMA International Global. I've got Vancouver there in the red because it's just emerged as the newest center. All right. Kind of fascinating in that.
Well, there's a lot in Australia, actually. Australia, based on a lot of other countries. Like, I think there's one in United Kingdom, one in Ireland, and then like 6 in Australia.
Yeah, they've been around a long time, and it's quite interesting. They have their international conference down there where they get all their 6 together, and they only have it irregularly, not every year, because there's such a small community. In the end, they go out drinking for beer. But that's part of networking too. That's part of networking too. And the China.
Oops, sorry. I was going to say the chapters in the U.S. under a different heading.
Yeah, that's because they're so dense. There's so many chapters there.
Okay.
Yeah, this is the rest of the world. Yeah,
right,
so we saw that.
Okay.
Slide, and then we blew back to this one. Good point. Thank you. Oh, and China is just now split up between Shanghai and Beijing. So they are also the latest translation of the DAMA-DMBOK into Chinese. So there you go. We're a little underrepresented in Africa, but there are considerations, I believe, in Egypt right now. So it's always evolving as we're getting more on board. The president of the President's Council for DAMA International is currently from the Mexico City chapter. So. All right, so I did say briefly that DAMA International has some advocacy going on. And so every 4 years, the Department of Labor in the United States collects information on jobs and job titles and who's doing what work, what kind of, numbers, I guess it's part of their census. And but every 4 years, they approach DAMA International and say, you know, do you have any input to the job title list, where we should be collecting information on how many jobs are out there, how many openings are out there, so we can see where we need to go in terms of the labor market. So that's very important. We put input a few times. This has been going on, I believe, for 12 years. The first time it was kind of wobbly, but second time I believe we got a couple of new jobs put in there. Again, the focus was database management rather than all the proliferation of job titles and responsibilities that we have now in data management. So it's still quite uneven what they accept, and it's not really clear to us their criteria, but perhaps it's historical. If our recommendations need to split something up, that becomes a complicated thing for them. However, that's part of our advocacy as an ongoing program. And we target specific partners in the industry for other initiatives. I'll talk about the IEEE one because I've been involved with that personally. The International Engineers Electrical, I'm sorry, I kind of lost that, but they're one of the largest software, hardware, professional organizations in the world with well over 100,000 members. They decided to create a BOK, a body of knowledge, which represented all the BOKs out there. And so I was a representative for the DM body of knowledge, DMBOK. There was the PM BOK for the project management folk. There was product management BOK for the product development side. There was BABOK from the business analyst's perspective. And of course, the IEEE owns and maintains the SWABOK for software body of knowledge, and the SEBOK, which is for the hardware side, the systems engineering BOK. So this particular effort ended up as a wiki. You can search for it. It's called the EIT BOK, the Enterprise IT BOK, which takes all of these perspectives and tries to put them, well, it does in fact put them in a best practices volume. So again, we've had input to U.S. national standards for in other places, and you'll see with the DMBOK as we talk about it later, some more advocacy there. From the academic perspective and influencing them, in 2005, we created a paper called A Model Curriculum Framework for Post-Secondary Education in Data Resource Management. So this was a recommended curriculum that people could access and potentially use, which was trying to affect the problem of data management just being considered database management in post-secondaries. This work we presented to the ISACON conference, the IS Education Conference in 2005, and won second best paper for this. We've also posted it on academia.edu, which is an academic resource for academic kind of papers. And it's been referenced academically many times since 2005. Right now, we're starting a we started it late last year, a case for a competency-based framework in data management education. And, you know, if any of you are academics, teachers out there, please volunteer for this paper. It's still underway. You can privately message me, and my contact information is at the end of this paper. So this new paper, we decided not to create a new model of framework where it was very prescriptive of what you would teach at what level, both in 2-year, 3-year post-secondary, plus master's and PhD. We decided instead to put it on its ear and look at a competency-based education. So this has been a trend in the last 20 years, which is now becoming more formalized in universities. All the people on this particular paper are PhDs working in this area. And what they bring to the table is the formalization of the way industry interacts with post-secondary institutions. In the past, you might be offered by your company, oh, you can take every Friday and not work for the company. You can do your studying and we'll pay for your courses at this university, thinking that you'll lead eventually to a bachelor's or whatever. Now universities and colleges are responding formally to that kind of initiative from industry and saying, hey, it's a combination of courses you've taken, your experience at work, and whether you've done it at the college level or at the university level. Let's all look at what you have learned as a competency skill kind of package. And so the idea of testing for competencies leading to degrees, certificates and degrees, is becoming more accepted, though it's still got some, let's say, resistance, or it's still a little immature in North America. So we're responding to that instead of being prescriptive as a model framework. So that's the focus of that paper, hoping to have that out this year. Moving on to the body of knowledge itself as part of the 4 parts. Yeah, a quick background. It's in its 2nd edition now, published in 2017. It was written by and edited by DAMA members, and I'm the senior editor for the DMBOK 2. And this is very important. It's an integrated primer, a definitive introduction. So I like to say it's a mile wide and an inch deep, in that the bibliographies in each chapter really dive into it. So that's why it's called a guide to the body of knowledge. And it's modeled on these other BOKs before we even got to the table with the IEEE, because these other BOKs have been around for quite some time. It's now in 6 or 7 languages. That's getting fluid, where I just said the Chinese have finished their translations. They did it locally with their DAMA members, and then put it out for review that they had that translation done properly. And now there's a Russian that's under consideration now. We have an English, French, Spanish, Portuguese, and Chinese, and did I say French? So in any case, the manuscript is, for the 2nd version, took approximately 9,000 hours of effort over 500-600 pages. So it's not a small book at all. There are various uses other than just as a study book for the certification. It's useful just in your data management organization, wherever you work now, because it can inform diverse audiences about data management, get away from the database management concept, and actually educate various audiences that come in at different levels. And of course, that leads to building a consensus. It can help participants understand their responsibilities, because the roles within each of the data management areas are well described. And it points readers to, of course, additional sources of knowledge. It helps you prepare for the exams, of course, and it assists organizations in their enterprise data strategy. If you don't know, have an overview of all of the areas that are important in data management, how can you build an enterprise data strategy? It's a basis for effectiveness and maturity assessments. It can guide implementation and process improvement efforts where you want to prioritize process improvements. And of course, it's used as a textbook now in well over 100 universities that I know of to support their education curriculum. And of course, it suggests academics various research topics if they can see what our practices are and maybe some holes or some things they'd like to explore further. And here are the people who contributed to that. And that was our small editorial team. Now, there's no writer here because it was written by many, many people over the 17 chapters, maybe up to 10 or 15, because we got people who were gurus in the various areas to stand up and write these chapters. When we needed a collaboration tool, we used the Google Docs platform, and we published out the data chapters for public review, and that was really important step. We thought that we might come to a point where we could publish the DMBOK as a standard, and we were looking at the ANSI standards. And part of the review process to become almost any standard is that there's a public information and critique step in your process and development. So that was achieved by letting people come in and comment on our drafts. So this is the overall structure of the book, and gosh, it really makes it easy to get into it, since each of these pie slices is a chapter, and with data governance in the center. And why do we do that? Put data governance in the center because it is the controls and the oversights to all the things that are done in data management on the IT side. You design things logically and physically, you store them, you secure them, you do data integration or interoperability, you combine it with less structured data, documents, and content, you standardize it, you do your analytics, you describe your data so that everyone understands that what somebody meant by margin in one area of the company is the same or different than the way someone else uses the word margin in a different part of the company. And of course, data quality. So these are called knowledge areas. They're not things to do per se, they're things to know. And this is another guide you'll find in every single chapter, which is an overview of the chapter. So with a 600-page book, how do you get into it quickly? You do it this way. It's looking at this standard diagram, with a standard meaning all the blocks are there for every chapter. You have a definition of that chapter, what this chapter is all about, the goals, and between the definition and goals, you have business drivers, which come out of those goals. And then you have activities to address those business drivers. The activities have inputs that may come from other areas of the company or just produced by someone else, but they must be inputs or in order to reference what you're going to do in your activities. And then you have specific deliverables for that, for those activities. Whoops, I'm sorry. And then vertically, you read the orange bar vertically to the row above. The inputs, who supplies your inputs? Well, here are your roles. You see people like data stewards, data owners, subject matter experts, and so forth. Who participates in these activities in this data management area? Well, you, I guess, might have the CTO, you might have project management office, you might have even audit involved in these activities to help you out. And then the deliverables. Who are the consumers of what you produced? Right? So clearly, if you're producing things here like data principles, policies, and processes, then people consume them. Our communities of interests, the data management team, architecture groups, all kinds of people who have to adhere to these policies and processes that you created. The bottom line is about supporting technical drivers, what techniques you would bring to work with in your activities, what tools might be necessary, and then how to measure success or to track progress. Both things are important, as well as value and effectiveness. So,
just a quick thing, Deborah. Do you see that little pop-up that says meet.google.com is sharing your screen?
Yeah, sorry.
Can you just,
there you go.
Perfect.
It's
Thank
gone.
you.
It's gone.
Lovely.
Thank you. Great. Learning curve still. Thank you so much, Nick. All right.
Sorry I didn't catch it earlier.
No worries. So of all of those pie slices or chapters, here is a breakdown of the subject areas inside each of these. In data governance, you have what does it mean, data governance and stewardship, what business culture and development is necessary in order to do data governance. And all of these items that have an asterisk beside them are differences and changes that have been added since the first edition of the BOK, which is many years ago. So you can see that there's over the whole book, you have substantial changes. In data architecture, what is enterprise data architecture, the design and implementation, and the integration with general enterprise architecture, which combines not data architecture with the IT hardware networking application sides. Data modeling and design, again, how to build and manage data models, and data models from different formats and perspectives, ER models, UML models, object models, fact-based models, and so forth. So which to do when. So there's guidance there as well. Data storage and operations, of course, this is our database management. And so types of databases and file systems. I won't drain these slides, but you'll be able to read them as we post this YouTube ongoing. And so you have newer topics like virtualization. And of course, you have the basics of integrity and compliance of data assets to needs and perhaps to regulation. All right. In data security, of course, very hot. What are the classifications? What are the categories around data regulatory requirements? Managing it and maintaining it, managing data regulations, assessing vulnerabilities, including ethical hacking, and define data sensitivity in metadata. So the crossovers between these chapters are also highlighted, right? So you'll talk about data sensitivities in the metadata chapter. Data integration and interoperability, a whole new chapter. Performing data discovery, where is it? And then developing where is it, what is it, and what's the source of record? Developing the integration and deploying it. Documents and content control. Something I'd like to highlight here is the development of e-discovery. It's very important now for organizations to understand their legal risks and when they should start or have in place particular documents, maybe just for a particular lawsuit that's underway now, or particular risks that they understand they have, and to develop mechanisms for sequestering information for e-discovery. And of course, the publish, deliver, dispose, archive, records, and content, and the information governance side of things, which is the all-around records and content. Reference and master data, and I'm going through this because there are exams in the CDMP for all of these. So, and you know, very importantly, and I should have said this up front on the review of the DMBOK, I'm sorry. There's one fundamental exam, which is an overview data management fundamentals, which touches on all of these chapters. But again, it's only a 100-question exam, so how deep can you go? But it's a mandatory exam, and you get a certificate for it. But there are 2 other exams which are optional for you, and you must pick out of a list, and the list covers these topics. And we expect people to, like their career, end up specializing in one area of data management if they're a data professional. So you might be a data quality specialist, or you might be a reference and master data specialist, or you may be an analytics specialist. And so you will naturally select as your optional exams based on where you are in your career and what you know and what your strengths are. Because we do know that people specialize beyond the general understanding of data management. Maybe you're a good data governance specialist. So this just gives you overviews of what to expect once you get into the book, and the topics that are covered in the book are the primary reference for the exams. Okay. So you don't have to necessarily go into all those bibliographies and all those depths if you're comfortable with the material at the level as it's presented with the DMBOK. This could be the level at which you feel that you are prepared. The next chapter is the data warehousing and business intelligence chapter. You know, real time, near real time is a new topic there. All the way from understanding and defining to, you know, designing, implementing, populating, and maintaining the data products that come out of that. And then a new topic there, the use of open data. Open data being the published data from governments who believe you paid for it once with your taxes, so they'll publish their information back to you. Interestingly, the most popular open data set seems to be, wherever you live, baby names. Oh, there you go, from obviously the birth register. Okay, metadata strategies, metadata, creating a meta model. Yes, that's a new section where you understand what kind of description information you're going to gather on your data. And then, of course, metadata standards, data stores, which are usually now we call them business glossaries or data catalogs or data registers. That's all covered in this chapter. And of course, data quality. The importance of data ranking. So again, prioritization. What are you going to bother to spend your resources, time, money, people on to get quality? And then the UK DAMA came out with a white paper on the dimensions of data quality, being, you know, timeliness, accuracy, precision, reliability, and so forth. And so that's in this paper as well. The requirement to create a framework, and then, of course, developing and deploying and measuring success of your data quality improvements. Big data and data science was added in our in this last version of the BOK, including Lambda architecture for big data architectures, specifications, finding and loading resources for the ingest phase. There are new jobs out there for data curators for finding and identifying the data that should go in there and specifying all its metadata and quality and so forth. And the integration and deploying and monitoring the model. What's interesting to me from a data governance point of view is that if you don't know what's in there, how can you explain all your statistical assumptions that you put in as a data scientist in an understandable way? You have no trackability there for yourself to even explain it to the business people who have to then buy into then action some of your insights and believe that you've made the right assumptions, used the right data, and they can rely on you for your conclusions. And then data management maturity assessment, both deep and shallow versions on how to do assessments. One of the big question is what framework to use for maturity assessments, and there are many out there. In fact, you can use the DMBOK itself as a prioritization and maturity assessment vehicle. All right, so that's overview of the book. So we have reoccurring themes across the book, and so they're cross-referenced back and forth. Very, very useful to have. And now we're on to the guts of it in terms of the CDMP and what that's all about. So it's been it is awarded by DAMA International. It's 90 minutes or 100 questions, and it's all multiple choice. And as per most multiple choice exams that have any grit behind them, you might have two answers that are correct, but you have to select the one that's most correct. You have to apply for the ability to sit the exam, and there are minimums for experience and education that must be met before you can sit the exam. And all of this information, I'll show you where to find that a little later. There's a 3-year recertification cycle, like most certifications, where you have to prove that you have done some continuing education. And that's why this chapter exists in IRMAC in order to help you with continuing education. And it is offered globally. There is a code of ethics once you are successful across 3 exams that you must sign as a data professional. And one of the supporting topics in the DMBOK is, in fact, ethical handling of data and how to build that into your work. And the DAMA Central membership, I said there were just 6,000 people who joined DAMA internationally directly, is included with your certification now. So the idea of being a central member is often useful for people where there is no local chapter they can affiliate with. For instance, there's one member from Cuba. So that is centrally. And they're offered the ability to access the DMBOK as part of their membership, and you could too. By the way, anyone who becomes a member of IRMAC has the option of becoming a DAMA Central member as well. So certification, it is the message you send about you, right? So the CDMP is the standard of excellence in data management profession. It has rigorous requirements, including continuing education and demonstrated experience, and it's recognized worldwide. So we do understand that people kind of build their careers, and you can see the arrow on the left where You will be certifying yourself as either an associate, a practitioner, a master, or a fellow at the very top. An associate is what we expect out of a person who's right out of university, college, university, or a combination of that formal education plus experience. The practitioner passes the very same exam at the 50% level. The master passes the same exam at the 80% level, and the fellow is an honorary degree, which, certification level, which is given to certain individuals for their contribution above and beyond the exam. So at the beginning, it was said that I was a fellow, and there are only 3 of us in the world at this point. So there's a fundamental foundations exam. It's there in the grass as a foundational piece. And so you might be an entry-level database administrator. You could be an enterprise data modeler. And yeah, maybe the data governance specialist is up near the top with at the mastery level in terms of your career build. So, you know, you might start as a data modeler, still an enterprise data modeler, but you know, from a more strategic point of view, you might end up as an enterprise data architect, or you could move over to being a data governance specialist. In my personal career, this is the way I moved from a data modeler to an architect to a governance specialist. So people come in at various places, and they show different levels of you know, background, experience, education, and you know, move up the career ladder. So the partners, DAMA partners with Robinson Ryan at robinsonryan.com for exam delivery and maintenance of certifications for the professionals. So Robinson Ryan is out of Australia, and they also do the proctoring through your webcam. And how to take the exam. They do more than CDMP exams. They are an exam and administrating provider. So you can visit robinsonryan.com and see what the requirements are for exam writing and your qualifications and how they stack up. The specialties exams, here they are. Right now, I've just finished helping write the exam for data architecture. There's not every single area in the book that's covered yet. I'm not sure when the data architecture exam will come out. But you choose your other 2 exams from these specialty exams. And again, we have the levels of certification: associate, practitioner, master, and fellow. You can review this. This is also on the DAMA.org site and the Robinson Ryan, what the exam requirements are and what the knowledge level is and the experience necessary in order to sit the exam. Okay. There used to be exam substitutions in the past, like you could, for a specialty exam, they substitute a certification in project management, the PMBOK. If you ended up having a PMP certification, you could do that as a substitution. But exams ceased last year, substitutions.
So just a quick question, Deborah. There are only 3 fellows in the world, and you are one of them?
Yes.
My God, that's amazing.
Okay, thank you.
Cool. Sorry, I was just wanted to double check because that's amazing.
Yeah. Second one's from England, and the third one lives in Chicago. So that's where we're distributed.
Cool. The only Canadian one. Thumbs up.
Yeah. So again, for the associate and practitioner, the industry experiences, the minimum these are just minimum guidelines for taking the certification exams. Those aren't, you know, dead fast requirements. The exception is at the master level, you must have 10 years in. And of course, the fellow has to have 25 years in. Mm-hmm. At the master level, you must also, as part of the process, submit your curriculum vitae or resume to back that. So, what you get out of this, you get a certification, or you get individual certificates for each specialty exam that's passed, but you get the certification and document, all, you know, an official document, and a badge issued. So the badges are not just an image, they carry metadata that can be verified. For example, you can send your CDMP badge to a prospective employer who can then verify that your CDMP certification is authentic and valid. The CDMP badges are used, they use the popular Open Badges standard. And people publish their badges on LinkedIn as well to prospective employers. And we're seeing employers require CDMP certification as, you know, a first level kind of slice for, you know, whether they're going to look at your resume at all. So this is the value right here of the CDMP cert. You can go through many sample questions before taking the exam, and, you know, proctoring, as I said, is remote. You can look at the exam as an opportunity to baseline yourself in knowledge and not necessarily to pass the test, so you can stress less at it. So here's the real like, what do I do next? So please register your interest in an IRMAC sponsored prep course for the first exam, the Data Management Fundamentals, the one mandatory exam. The course is ready to go. It's instructor led by me. And there are breakouts for some topic areas throughout the course, and example questions with their answers that we'll be discussing. The total duration of the course is 21 hours, and for those who feel more advanced, this may also prep you for your specialties exams. Registration with IRMAC assures you of discounts compared with other commercially offered courses. I'm offering this specifically to IRMAC for IRMAC's benefit, and all the members and the public in our area who are listening to this. Anyone can come in. The timeline, we'll be giving this course somewhere within the next 3 months, and this is just to show interest. You could please email communications@irmac.ca. That's going to be Eden on the other end to express interest. Mm-hmm. And please note that the date and time of the session is subject to change based on the amount of interest in the course. And Eden, can you sum up what's going to be published on YouTube and other channels for more information on this?
Absolutely. So we're very excited to be able to bring you this opportunity. We're hopeful that we can work this with Deborah. Deborah's also a very busy schedule. And so we're going to be publishing a couple things. As Deborah said, if you're interested, we're going to sort of get a handle on how many folks would be interested based on any emails we receive. We're also going to be publishing a couple of resources about both the event and the CDMP certification, which you'll be able to find in the description of this video. You'll find links to in the description of this video, and you'll be able to find on our website shortly. And once we have confirmed a timeline with Deborah, we'll be publishing an event registration, and the price for registration will become available at that time. And as Deborah said, we're hoping to make this available within the next 3 months and to open registration fairly soon.
Thanks, Eden.
Yeah, so, I'll hand it back to you for your final thoughts.
Yeah, so that's about the size of it. Are there any questions out there at this time, or have I probably, you know, given you a bit of a fire hose of information?
Yeah, there's a lot to digest here. Every time I thought I had a question, there was immediately an answer. So, yeah, but it was a very detailed overview, and I feel a lot more able to understand all that goes into this this CDMP and all the all the various credentials involved. We don't have any questions in the chat right now, but I will take this opportunity to say thank you so much for taking the time to tell us all about this, and we're really looking forward to be able to offer the course. Yeah, I think folks are going to need to look at the requirements more closely. So the links that we'll be providing will hopefully help with that.
I think one final thing is this slide deck, can we post this on our website on this event so that people can have it as a resource, Deborah?
Sure. I could give it to you as a slideshow for sure.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Someone asked that in the chat earlier. I think it was Rob Keslick asked.
Okay. All right then. So here's how to get in touch with me. I'll try to get back to you as quick as I can. I'm usually on most of the time, so I'll do it as quickly as I can. So thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. It's been real interesting to hear about all of this.
Well, that's all from me.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming to everyone watching, and have a lovely 3 days left of January.
Right then. Bye for now.
Yeah.